And it's not a knock, it's just how he plays in that spread wide open offense, and you project that to a spread wide open field. Yes, the arm may not be as strong.
I can't imagine there's many people that think Dillon Gabriel's a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I don't care where they were drafted. And if the Browns are the one team that thinks that, then I'm going to suspect it's not true.
I never root against anybody.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if Dillon Gabriel's ever a legitimate starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I'd be surprised. I just don't think.
Big news coming out of Cleveland. The competition for the starting quarterback spot is getting intense. Right now, it looks like Shedeur Sanders is pulling ahead in the race for QB1, while Dillon Gabriel is starting to raise concerns about whether he can hold onto the job. Gabriel was brought in for his size and physical presence, but things haven't been going his way. His arm strength and overall throwing performance during training camp have been underwhelming. In contrast, Sanders has been consistently outperforming him on the field. At this point, Shedeur Sanders seems to be on track to take over as Cleveland's starting quarterback. This shift could have big implications for the team moving forward. Initially, Gabriel was drafted before Sanders and was widely seen as the likely pick for the top quarterback spot. But there's been one major issue that keeps coming up: his height. At just 5'11", Gabriel's size has become a real concern, especially in a league where physical stature can make a big difference. Throughout training camp, Gabriel has had a tough time making long throws with the kind of ease people expected from him. In a position that demands both power and precision, that's a tough weakness to overcome. Meanwhile, Sanders has continued to turn heads with his ability to deliver accurate deep passes, using his long limbs and natural throwing ability to his advantage. It's become clear that Sanders has taken control of the QB battle during camp, while Gabriel has struggled, particularly when facing pressure or a crowded pocket. That's now led to a lot of talk from analysts, who are wondering if Gabriel's lack of arm strength and ability to perform under pressure might be too big of a hurdle for him to succeed in the NFL. The big question now: how can a quarterback with such a serious gap in his game expect to survive, let alone thrive, in one of the most competitive football leagues on the planet?
Gets the ball out, he's accurate. As far as how does that translate to the National Football League, I just don't see it. I don't know why. I'm sure he's a great kid, he plays his ass off, he's a winner, but when I watch him on tape, nothing really excites me about his game other than the fact that he's pretty accurate, got a quick arm.
Dillon Gabriel's struggles became pretty obvious during OTAs and minicamps, where some key issues in his game started to show. One particular rep stood out. He looked noticeably worried about defensive linemen swatting down his passes at the line of scrimmage. That concern led him to start releasing the ball a bit higher than usual, and it threw things off. Some of his passes ended up sailing over his receivers' heads, while others got tipped right at the line. It's definitely something he'll need to work on if he wants to seriously compete at the pro level.
Dillon Gabriel raises a lot of eyebrows of concern. As you guys know, he had a ball batted down today, and it turned into an interception, pick six. And you guys can see right here, this was a cause of concern coming into the draft when it pertained to Dillon Gabriel, is how, his smaller frame. You guys seen it with the Johnny Manziels. Just kind of with those guys, the smaller frames, getting balls batted down to the line, ultimately turns into interceptions.
That being said, both Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders have things they need to work on. Neither of them is flawless, and the quarterback competition is still very much alive. Sanders has shown more consistency throughout camp, but nothing is set in stone just yet. Both quarterbacks are still in the running, and the battle is only getting more intense. While Gabriel was having his share of mistakes, Sanders was out there dropping dimes during practice. His throws were on point, showing off some serious precision and smart decision-making. One play in particular stood out. He connected with his tight end on a corner route near the back pylon. It was a tight window, with a linebacker trailing, and the receiver pressed at the line. But Sanders placed the ball perfectly. It was a textbook read. As soon as the safety bit on the short route, Sanders quickly recognized the one-on-one coverage and took the deep shot without hesitation. That kind of situational awareness, paired with his accuracy, is what's giving him the edge right now. There's even been some chatter that Cleveland may have picked up Dillon Gabriel just to block another team from grabbing Sanders. According to reports, owner Jimmy Haslam was very interested in bringing Shedeur on board, but not everyone on the coaching staff was sold at the time. Regardless of those early disagreements, Sanders is proving himself where it matters, on the field, showing that he's ready to compete at the highest level.
There's a lot of speculation. He wanted Shedeur Sanders. The staff drafted Dillon Gabriel, Oregon, 2 rounds earlier. And they were doing that not because they necessarily loved Dillon Gabriel. They liked him, but they thought it would stop their impulsive owner from forcing them to draft in round 4 Shedeur Sanders.
One thing that's really helped Shedeur Sanders stand out is how well he communicates on the field and takes charge of his teammates. His leadership and calm under pressure have pushed aside any lingering doubts about his potential, and he's steadily climbing to the top of the QB competition. The progress he's made in such a short span is making the coaching staff take a second look at their original plans. At this point, it's becoming clear that Sanders is making a serious case to be the future face of the Cleveland Browns. But it's not just the coaches he's winning over. Fans are fully backing him too. Across all age groups, people are showing strong support for Sanders, with many calling for him to be named the starting quarterback. His exciting playstyle, paired with his natural leadership and magnetic personality, has really struck a chord with the fan base. There's a noticeable buzz building around the idea of him leading the team, and fans are clearly invested in his journey. The hype isn't just about what he could become, it's about the energy and spark he's already bringing to the team. Fans want someone who can lead, inspire, and get results. And right now, Sanders looks like that guy. Even veteran quarterback Joe Flacco had high praise for him, saying Sanders puts a smile on his face, not just because of how he plays, but because of the positive vibe he brings to the locker room. It's obvious that Sanders is leaving a strong impression on everyone, from coaches and analysts to his teammates.
I don't know if it has an impact on much, but Shedeur's been great. I mean, he's a lot of fun to be around in those meeting rooms, and I think so far there's been, at least once in the meeting room that he's made me crack a smile, and that's what it's all about. He's a young guy trying to learn some football and come out here and practice well and do those things. And like I said, he's been a lot of fun. I mean, he's come up to me and.
As the quarterback race in Cleveland picks up steam, it's becoming more obvious that Dillon Gabriel is slipping out of serious contention for the starting role. He came into camp with high hopes, thanks in large part to his size and athleticism, but his recent showings have raised some red flags. Gabriel's inconsistency with deep throws, especially when under pressure, has exposed a major weakness that's tough to ignore. Even with his solid build and physical tools, Gabriel just hasn't shown the kind of arm strength and accuracy needed to compete at the NFL level. His inability to stay composed and deliver under pressure has only fueled more concern about whether he can really hold his own in this league. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is quickly climbing the depth chart, not just because of his standout play, but also due to his physical strength and mental grit. Sanders has been throwing with confidence and precision, even under duress, and he's consistently making smart reads when it counts. His accuracy and decision-making have really popped during training camp. What's more impressive is Sanders' commitment. Even without getting most of the first-team reps, he stayed locked in and kept a disciplined approach. That work ethic, paired with his upbeat personality and leadership qualities, has earned him the respect of both his coaches and teammates. He's become a favorite among the fans, not just for what he's doing on the field, but for the energy he brings to the team overall. With Gabriel continuing to struggle, Sanders is clearly setting himself apart, not only with performance, but with presence. So now the question goes out to Browns fans. With Gabriel trying to find his footing, and Sanders making a strong push with solid play and leadership, who do you see taking over as QB1? Are you holding out hope that Gabriel bounces back? Or do you think Sanders is the obvious choice to lead this team into the future? Let us know what you think and who you're backing.
So he says, this is exactly what he says. I'm told the footage of Shedeur Sanders meeting with the Giants is so bad that both the Browns and the Sanders family have threatened legal action if it is.
What in the NFL is happening right now? The New York Giants just leaked a draft interview recording with Shedeur Sanders, and fans are completely freaking out. Did Shedeur take some shots? Did the Giants forget what the word confidential means? Or did someone accidentally hit reply all on something that was supposed to stay locked away? Get ready, because this roller coaster involves hot mics, bad takes, and a whole lot of drama.
What happened with Shedeur on draft night to make him fall to the 5th round, and them talking about the Giants coming out with all that information talking about Shedeur did bad, bombed the interview, all that type stuff. We all know my last video when I talked about the interview tape about Shedeur did not get a playbook.
The NY Giants, in true Stonewall fashion, dropped a carefully trimmed clip from their highly sought-after interview with Shedeur Sanders, then quickly locked everything else away like it was top-secret intel. Was this a calculated PR stunt or just a low-key attempt at sabotage? Either way, the silence speaks louder than any official statement. Fans aren't buying this half-baked version of transparency, and they're definitely not ready to just bench him and move on. Instead, they're demanding answers, calling out the organization for what feels like a planned smear job. One thing's for sure, the hate is loud, but Shedeur's supporters are even louder.
There was another team that he sat down with.
What do you mean it didn't go well after that?
So, he was pissed that they did that to him. They did that to him.
He counter-confronted them.
The same thing they do to every other quarterback prospect. They did that to him. They slide in a mistake to see if you catch it.
Right. And so
because you're the quarterback.
But he didn't take it as a correction. He took it as like he got pissed off.
Yeah, and it's like so here's another one. So another one was, he throws a bad interception, and it was a deep throw early in the game, and he comes back and they go in the meeting, they show the interception.
Let's just call it like it is. The Giants have perfected the tease. They've basically turned "we've got more, but we're not sharing it" into a comedy act, and the joke's on them. It's like they're standing center stage, booing themselves. Oh, you want more? Too bad. We're guarding it like Grandma's secret lasagna recipe. Congrats, Giants. You've officially become the talk of TikTok, X, and even Aunt Barbara's Facebook. Yep, the holy trinity of online outrage. This whole thing screams drama, screams petty, and definitely screams PR disaster in a fitted cap. Just release the full tape before fans start pulling up to headquarters with pitchforks. And popcorn.
GM is getting fired. The GM, who was that nigga that Jaden Daniels. The GM is on film that the nigga's son, the nigga asked his son last draft, yo, who you think I should pick? His son like, yo, you need to get the Jaden Daniels nigga, B. This is what his son, it's on tape. You should go Jaden Daniels. He laughing at his son. And all right, cool, get Jaden Daniels. I don't even know how that tape got out. I wouldn't have let the shit get out personally.
Meanwhile, Shedeur, the latest poster boy for maybe the Giants don't like talent unless it's dressed in blue and red confetti, is soaking it all in like it's just another day at practice. And here's the best part of the irony. The Giants tried to label him as all hype, no substance, a paper tiger. But instead, they accidentally turned him into the hottest name being mentioned by every sports analyst out there. They tried to bury the story, but somehow ended up stamping it in bold. It's the classic case of ignoring a trending conversation for so long that sure, people get annoyed, but at the same time, they keep your name alive better than your own PR team ever could.
It's funny. New York Giants, where these tapes at? You hear me? Because if Shedeur Sanders was so unprofessional, y'all would have leaked the tapes for the whole world could see, right? Cause understand, it's a lot of he say, she say. But one thing I do know, as a young black man growing up in this world, being straightforward and not sugarcoat anything.
Oh, this narrative is pure gold. Giants PR completely skipped subtlety and went straight to the "we don't like his dad" playbook. A move so awkward, it's like trying to dunk and ending up in a kiddie pool. You can almost picture them brainstorming it. Yeah, we're just not fans of QB families that aren't ours. Because nothing screams professionalism quite like having zero self-awareness. And the fan reactions? Absolutely priceless. That one little clip was all it took to set the internet on fire. Keyboards everywhere started lighting up. People are asking, why hide the good stuff? What are you trying to cover up? If there's really nothing to hide, why not just drop the full thing? And spoiler alert, they weren't whispering. Social media exploded faster than a New York City grill on Memorial Day weekend.
Them out. Another moment. What they do during the film and the combine and the meetings is teams will install mistakes intentionally planted in the install, and they want you to catch them. Shedeur didn't, and when a coach called him out, once again, it didn't sit well. It's like, bro, there's not many teams needing quarterbacks. especially since Pittsburgh appears to have a deal with Aaron Rodgers and Tennessee's getting Cam Ward. So you're down to the Giants, who are not in.
And that brings us to the next tasty slice of irony. By refusing to release the full interview, the New York Giants probably thought they were hurting Shedeur Sanders' image. But instead, they ended up throwing gasoline on the hype train. Rather than shutting things down, they made him look like the kid who grabbed the last cookie and somehow got blamed for taking the whole jar. Only difference? This kid's got cameras on him 24/7, and he's handling the heat like a seasoned pro. Now, every move he makes is being broken down, every throw studied like it's a presidential debate. Fans are calling it what it is. They've lied on Shedeur. Some say the Giants just don't like his dad. And honestly, that might be true. Maybe this whole thing was just a cheap shot at Deion Sanders by extension. But here's the plot twist. The harder they try to drag him down, the more interesting his story gets. The Giants accidentally turned Shedeur into a walking headline, a controversy in cleats. They tried planting doubt, but all they really did was create buzz. He's no longer just a top draft pick. He's now a symbol of resilience, a narrative goldmine, and living proof that real talent doesn't fold under pressure. It levels up. And at this point, even if the Giants wanted to, there's no turning off the spotlight.
Okay, so probably the most fun yet the most difficult thing I cover and we cover all year long is not games. It's the NFL draft. Because I've said this many times, you get lied to for a month to 2 months up to it. And so often during the draft, and every few drafts, there's a guy that really falls, precipitously falls. This year it was Shedeur Sanders, it's been Aaron Rodgers, it's been Dan Marino. Every few years somebody falls a lot. And so, but those stories don't come out until like the fall and after.
Let's not overlook the fact that the hate is so strong, you could bottle it up and sell it as radioactive cologne. You can practically watch it leaking out of Giants HQ like toxic sludge straight out of a bad superhero origin story. But here's the twist. Maybe that's their superpower. Maybe the New York Giants really believe they're cooking up some secret formula, a cocktail of manipulation and media spin. But here's the thing. Every bit of shade they throw at Shedeur Sanders only makes his story bigger. Every time they try to box him in as some overhyped diva or question his character, they accidentally hand him another viral moment. And now, he's the underdog hero rising through the smoke. Let's be real. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about narratives, control, and how the establishment absolutely loses it when they're no longer holding the pen. And the real kicker? They still won't release the full interview. You've got NFL fans, media heads, and entire Reddit threads all chanting, "Drop the tape." Like it's some long-lost Beatles album. Meanwhile, the Giants are just sitting there, staring into the void like nobody saw this mess coming.
Now, I don't know if it ever gonna get leaked or not. The tapes, the New York Giants have the tape. They definitely have the tape. It's confirmation that they have the tape. Shedeur didn't do nothing. It's what they saying he did. I'm gonna tell you what these mixed reactions right here. So we already know about the New York Giants, but the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin reported Miles Sanders' talent, but hesitated to draft him due to previous challenges with quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, leading to more cautious approach. Las Vegas Raiders. Sanders met with Raiders at the NFL scouting combine and expressed enthusiasm about potentially joining the team. His familiarity with the West Coast offense and quick release was noted positive, though concerns about his ceiling.
Kevin Stefanski feels like his job may be on the line.
I don't concern myself with outside type of things, but I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better, and that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
And so you didn't get this man a fighting chance to compete. He went into a gunfight with 2 knives. He gonna lose that every time.
You know you're going to waive Tyler Huntley. So what good did that 2-minute drive do for him? Was it going to help him? Don't you think Shedeur would have benefited more from a 2-minute drive than Tyler Huntley?
Coach Kevin Stefanski looks like he's backing off, and the heat is clearly on him and the Browns to make a call. After the game, several offensive linemen who'd been on the field with Shedeur Sanders were waived, and a few players had their deals terminated. The blowback was immediate, forcing Stefanski to explain his handling of Shedeur's snaps, especially why he pulled him before the 2-minute hurry-up, a situation many felt fit the rookie perfectly. Stefanski didn't sound convincing. Under obvious pressure, he said he put Tyler Snoop Huntley in for the final 2 minutes to get him tuned up. He looked rattled delivering it, still pushing the idea that Huntley needed that work. Let's be real, Huntley was an emergency pickup when injuries piled up. He's a stopgap, unlikely to stick on the 53, and yet Stefanski used that moment to sit Shedeur. The message in his tone was hard to miss. He knows the choice isn't playing well, and the whole approach around Shedeur Sanders is already blowing back on the staff. Before we go deeper into Stefanski's full comments and what they mean going forward, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more updates. As for the decision itself, the head coach's shaky explanation only highlighted how tense things have become. Framing the move as a tune-up for Huntley doesn't track with the stakes or with Shedeur's development timeline. It looks less like a plan and more like a scramble, and it's starting to backfire.
And did you, I'm sure you kind of answered this last night, but why didn't you keep him in for the 2-minute, or why did you decide to take him out?
Yeah, nothing more than decided to give Snoop.
TJ Houshmandzadeh, the former NFL wideout, didn't mince words about Kevin Stefanski's handling of Shedeur Sanders. He said that in all his years around the league, he's never seen a coach appear so uninterested in a player's success. To Houshmandzadeh, Stefanski's choices look personal, like there's a grudge against Shedeur, and that's what he finds most troubling. TJ Houshmandzadeh called the bias blatant and cautioned that, if it's real, the push on the Browns to dismiss Kevin Stefanski will only intensify.
The fans gonna be saying, Shedeur our quarterback. Shedeur should be our starter. Shedeur should be the guy that starts game 1, week 1. Look what he did. They didn't want that to happen. And I don't know what's going on with Kevin Stefanski. It's almost as if, and I don't even want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
And that's exactly how it came across. Kevin Stefanski's body language said plenty. He looked like a coach feeling the axe over his shoulder. TJ Houshmandzadeh added that this isn't the first time Shedeur Sanders has been treated this way. He pointed to the opening preseason game, where Shedeur was sharp, yet Stefanski offered no real praise. Now, after what unfolded yesterday, it looks like Stefanski is pushing the idea that Shedeur was at fault, almost as if he's trying to validate the staff's stance that they were right and Sanders was wrong. TJ even suggested it felt like the situation was engineered from the start to make Shedeur come up short.
Well, like when he played well the first game, he was so off-putting, like, oh yeah, well, we'll see what happens next. Like, he should, he played great, man. He exceeded our expectations. He didn't say none of that. And so to me, it's as if they want him to fail so they can justify doing what they want to do.
And Houshmandzadeh's red holds up. From the very first preseason outing, Kevin Stefanski's slant felt apparent. Even after Shedeur Sanders put together an impressive, mistake-free showing, Stefanski declined to highlight him, retreating to broad comments about developing all the quarterbacks and skimming past Shedeur's standout work. It didn't come across as genuine buy-in on Shedeur's future in Cleveland. Now the spotlight is squarely on Stefanski, who seemed intent on easing Shedeur towards the margins. Ironically, the coach looks more vulnerable than the rookie. After weeks of rigid messaging and thin criticism, he's suddenly pivoting, saying they'll concentrate on developing Shedeur Sanders. An about-face that screams pressure from the fan base. And it isn't only fans. Reporters and analysts are pressing him as well. Emmanuel Acho weighed in, arguing that by placing Shedeur with an offensive group filled with players unlikely to make the 53, Stefanski engineered a no-win evaluation. Acho's point was straightforward. Even a quarterback with Tom Brady's resume would have struggled in that setup with that caliber of support. In those conditions, any rough patches for Shedeur were predictable, an indictment of the context, not the quarterback.
The COVID year, so it gave everybody an extra year if you wanted it.
Understandable. But listen, it's
what the chat say? Who the chat believe he took a shot or no?
Let me look in the chat. I ain't even open my phone. Hold on. I'm curious to see what the chat would think. They are saying
Houshmandzadeh's take still holds. From the first preseason snap, Kevin Stefanski's slant felt obvious. Even after Shedeur Sanders delivered a crisp, mistake-free showing, Stefanski sidestepped any real credit, defaulting to broad talk about developing all the quarterbacks and skating past Shedeur's standout work. It didn't read like genuine buy-in on Sanders' future in Cleveland. Now the spotlight has swung to Stefanski, who looked intent on easing Shedeur to the edges of the plan. Ironically, the coach seems more vulnerable than the rookie. After weeks of rigid messaging and thin critiques, he's suddenly pivoting, saying they'll focus on developing Shedeur Sanders. A shift that screams fan pressure. And it isn't only the fan base. Reporters and analysts are pressing him too. Chad Okosinko weighed in, arguing that by sticking Shedeur with an offensive group filled with fringe or soon-to-be-waived players, Stefanski set up a no-win evaluation. Ochocinco's point was straightforward. Even a quarterback of Tom Brady's caliber would have struggled in that environment with that level of support. In those circumstances, any rough patches for Shedeur were predictable, an indictment of the setup, not the quarterback. Chad Ochocinco warned that the chorus of team-friendly critics would soon start branding Shedeur Sanders a bust, reducing him to fifth-string status, and the real problem would get ignored. Kevin Stefanski put Shedeur in a no-win setup. Despite growing backlash, Ochocinco argued this all looks like a coordinated effort to drag Shedeur down, with more energy spent tearing him apart than acknowledging why he struggled. He was right about the setup, but wrong about the Browns skating by. Fans are loudly calling for Stefanski's job over what they view as clear bias towards Shedeur Sanders, and that pressure is only intensifying. Skip Bayless also weighed in, blasting Cleveland's approach as the worst way to handle a young quarterback. He pointed to a recurring pattern. Shedeur has been consistently mishandled by Stefanski and by the organization, and that this isn't a one-off misstep. In Bayless's view, Sanders hasn't been given a fair runway or the right support, and the way the team has managed him has only piled on the pressure, making it even harder for him to succeed.
I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened by the way Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League, now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
Given how this has played out with Shedeur Sanders, it's hard to escape the sense he was put behind the 8-ball from the start. When he made his first preseason start, Stephen A. Smith said the Browns were setting Shedeur up to fail, and recent events only strengthen that take. Between the lack of meaningful first-team reps and a string of puzzling play calls, the context never looked built for growth. At this point, the pattern makes his setbacks feel less like natural growing pains and more like the product of an environment that was never set up for him to succeed.